I haven't played Fortnite Daily since Chapter 4, Season 4, but Chapter 7 actually got me back on, so I'm going to explain why this season works for me. So we're kicking off with reason number 1, and that is the map feels more alive. Now my big problem with Chapter 6 and, the time when I quit the game was the map felt way too big and way too bland, and I'm not even joking, the Chapter 6 map was literally just a nuclear wasteland. If you didn't play that chapter, look, I don't feel bad for you because that chapter was absolutely abysmal in terms of the map. And look, Fortnite was also going for this graphic-y, style, and they lost the, beautiful, colorful style that they always went for. And that is actually what always made Fortnite feel very alive and very, very fun. However, now we're in Chapter 7 and the map is very, very different. It is not bland and very, very colorful. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually saw this coming from the Simpsons season where they made the map really, really colorful. And they've only improved on it in this chapter. Now look, it's not perfect. There could be a couple things worked upon. However, it's still a really, really good map. And I think Fortnite is only gonna improve upon that, as obviously they want to improve their game and the player base. Now, my second reason of why Chapter 7 is really, really good for me is that I've noticed that there are a lot more fights and a lot less boredom. Another big problem I have with Chapter 6 is that, I'm not joking, it took me around 10 minutes to fight one guy, and 99% of the time, that guy was a bot. However, it's really, really different in Chapter 7. As they have improved a lot on the bots, I'm rarely running into bots anymore, and I noticed that I'm running into people a lot more, and the fights feel way more fun, and obviously, that's going to keep me playing for longer. Now, another thing I also want to mention on why the fights feel more fun and I'm running into more people is that the mobility this season is crazy. I think there's a billion shockwaves, the new wingsuits are really, really fun, and this is probably what assisted in me seeing more people and more chaotic fights. Alright, but now we're moving into reason number 3, and that is the loot pool. The loot pool is a huge thing in Fortnite, and a huge problem in Chapter 6 was the loot pool. There were always some useless guns, and honestly the guns were really, really bad. But obviously some were OP, and there was just not really middle ground, no balance. However, this chapter has fixed that, in my opinion, of course. Now, honestly, the Red Eye map is one of the best ARs I've ever seen. It's so good, I love it. And another thing is the wingsuits. They're so fun and a unique mobility item that, honestly, I think we've been missing from Fortnite for a very, very long time. Now, to be fair, I really like the Simpsons loot pool, and it might be a tad bit better than Chapter 7, so I'll say, however, the Chapter 7 loot pool is still really, really good, and I love it. I also think the loot pool is very, very balanced, and I think the shotguns are great. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the shotguns are iconic this chapter, and I think in a couple of years to come, we will remember this chapter as a really good chapter for the loot pool. But let's go into reason number 4. Alright, now reason number 4 might be something that you didn't expect, and for me, that is going to be the storyline. I think the storyline has improved a lot. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I have no clue what was going on for the storyline in Chapter 5, 6, and even 4 maybe. But however, I think Chapter 7, for the first time in a while, I'm genuinely interested in what's going on in the storyline. And it honestly really makes sense, and I really liked how they did the event, where they did the Chapter 6 end event. That was fire, and I loved how they brought all the collabs together. It was really, really good, and I think Fortnite's only going to finally improve the story after, neglecting it for so long. I also think part of the Fortnite storyline improving is that the events have gotten a lot better. I noticed in the last event, the 0 hour event, has insane, really good things about it. First of all, the collabs, they did it perfectly. I really liked it, and I'm not gonna lie, that monster was so cool to fight. And honestly, I hope they keep on going like this, as the storyline is a big part of Fortnite, and I hope the events keep on improving, as I'm not gonna lie, they've been quite trash. But let's go into reason number 5. And reason number 5 is actually going to be the proof reason. I'm going to give you some solid evidence that Chapter 7 is looking way better for Fortnite, and honestly 10 times better than Chapter 6 ever was. Alright, so I'm going to kick off with literally just some facts here. So according to Active Player, Fortnite's live player count right now is 1 million. However, you may think that doesn't sound like a lot, but you gotta also remember, I'm recording this at like the worst time possible. So for me, it's currently 3:45 p.m. right now, and it's a Wednesday. So it depends when you're watching this. However, this is actually very, very normal, and it actually is still doing better than Chapter 6 Season 4. Yep, Chapter 6 Season 4 was actually averaging around 800k players, and by the way, that was on like update days and all that stuff. So this is actually really, really good. And Fortnite is actually going to improve. And look, the peak was 1.5 million, so it is going to get, an average of way more than 1 million very easily. And that is a big improvement from Chapter 6. Now, if you check the Chapter 6 player count, you'll see what I mean. However, guys, this season is not perfect. I do actually have one flaw with this season, and the problem is actually the theme. Now, the actual gameplay of the season is fantastic. However, there is a problem. It's currently December 17th, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not joking when I say this. There's not a single Christmas map besides the OG map. The normal Chapter 7 map has nothing Christmassy on it, and that is absolutely abysmal. And I don't know why they did a summer themed season in the winter. It's strange to me. However, that is the only flaw. Gameplay wise, this season is actually amazing, but that is my flaw with this season, and hopefully Fortnite learn their lesson next year to, don't do that. But guys, we've reached my conclusion on why I think Chapter 7 is really, really good. And if you haven't played Chapter 7 yet, do so, as it is amazing. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this documentary, and please have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!